welcome. My name is Miss Sinclair. I am the Feminine Boss. I am a lifestyle specialist, and my partner and co-host
is Delacroix Isom. I am an anti-anxiety expert, author, speaker, and just all the way around, that person, that girl, that chick.
Clearly. So we are so excited to have you all here with us today and our virtual audience. This is a manifestation, in real life. We had a vision.
Yes.
We worked the vision, and everything just happened so naturally for us. And we have so many big things coming for this series, this brand, and we're just happy that you guys are a part of it. Watching our growth, because we are growing from where we are now, even from our last event, we're always just growing and evolving. So excited to have you guys here today.
Yes. So, as she stated, we have some exciting things to announce today. We decided to do a live podcast because, again, it is manifestation. We talked about it. I want to say in that very first live that we did, there were a lot of things we spoke in that very first live we did, and literally things just started happening and just coming forth. We were like, okay, we have this idea. Let's do it. Let's run with it. Let's make it happen. And so my thing is what I've been learning in my experience of being a coach, being an author, being an anxiety expert is, for me, is about the impact. It's not about being popular. It's about the impact. There are so many platforms that are based on popularity, but there's no impact in the room. And I just refuse to be in those spaces. If you know me, you know how I move, you know how I operate. I just refuse to be in those spaces. So whoever is in the room will be impacted because there will be something said that will resonate with you and that will change the way you think about certain things. And so it is springtime, and the question is, how are you blooming, right? Because everything is blooming right now. We got allergies, we got pollen, red meat, barely can go outside because everything is blooming. But just like everything is blooming in nature, you should be blooming as a physical and spiritual being. And if you are not blooming, then that is a problem. And part of you blooming is you embracing your inner glow and your growth. But how can you embrace your glow or your growth if you don't see it, if you don't allow it to work for you?
Yeah, I agree. And, with our experiences, we made a decision. We made a decision that we wanted to give something different. Like Delacroix said, we've been a part of a lot of conferences and women's events. And in the moment, it's exciting. It's fun even. You may meet someone, have a fleeting friendship, but we wanted to provide something of value that you can fill your heart and your soul with and really change your life with intentions. Like really taking the steps to realize the things that you want. Because like Delacroix said, we are always blooming. This is the optimal time for blooming. Yes. But every day we're blooming. And so we want to give you the tools that you can take and remember on those days when it's hard, those days when you feel like you fail, the days where you feel like your relationships are just hindering you, where you just feel like you're not doing enough. Tap into the tools of the EnRicHer Experience, and we hope that will relieve you of some of your troubles. Okay? So let's get into it.
What are we talking about today?
Okay, so we thought it would be a great introductory episode to talk about what we are passionate about and what our messages is so that you guys can get to know us. And so maybe we can just introduce ourselves, our story, and then we'll get into our messages.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead, you start.
All right, so where do I want to start at? There's so much. So being an author, right? For me, I had to write about my story. I had to just lay it all out there, right? And so At age 5, I was molested, and I was repeatedly molested until age 12. I got into a lot of domestic violence relationships, one which I almost lost my life. I was raped. I was a single mom. I was on welfare. I struggled. I struggled financially. I struggled mentally, physically, and spiritually. I was a single mom at 15, had my first child at age 15. By age 18, I had my daughter. I had an abortion when I was raped because I was afraid of what was the church going to say? How are they going to view me? She's showing up every week, 3 and 4 times a week, and on Sunday, faithfully to church. Oh, she out here just giving herself. I was raped by that. But you have to think, from being age 5, that experience shut me down. I lost the power of my voice. So when I was going through repeated experiences, I never said anything after telling at age 5. So how can I tell my pastor or tell anyone that I've been raped and now I'm pregnant? So the best thing that I could do for myself in my financial situation and being a single mom and raising 2 children was to go get an abortion, right? And so I carried everything from age 5 up until my daughter said in a conversation with my son that she wanted to be like me. What does she see? Because I'm broken, because I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm upset with everyone. This is not a strong Black woman, but this is the perception that we give our children because they have no idea what we're dealing with internally. So that day, I made a decision that I was going to heal, not only for myself, but for them, because I did not want to transfer that energy, that generational curse, that generational wealth emotionally to my children, because they would be in a deficit. So when we're looking at wealth, we should not only look at our finances, we have to look at the mental, physical, and spiritual and physical wealth that we're leaving to the next generation. So that helped me make my decision. And so that journey was long. It was dark. I was alone. I did it by myself. But you have to think, that was 20-some years ago. The world has changed. You can't heal by yourself no more. You need a community. You need coaches. You need people to help you heal. I didn't have all the distractions that the world have now when I did it. My life was simple. Take care of these children, go to work, go to church, call your pastors if you need them to help guide you in a situation. But there was not all this information and all these distractions coming at me at a time that I healed. So I tell everyone, don't compare your journey to mine because it's 2 different times. The world was different. So again, yes, it was lonely, it was dark. But my children, that accountability gave me the strength and the perseverance to be vulnerable and transparent with myself and with God to make a decision to heal. And that decision has carried me to who I am today. That decision allows me to walk in my boldness, my confidence, unapologetically. Don't care who's in the room. My story is my story. Period. I'm not ashamed of anything that I've been through because that was a version of me. It's not who I am. And that's the thing as women we have to learn. They are not who you are. They're just a part of you becoming. And you have to be willing to grow and transform through those experiences. So that's a little bit, but a lot about who I am.
Yes. That's amazing. And, I've had the chance to read her book, right? Through the Pain I Rise. And, I'm like, let me get her book because we're working together now, right? Mm-hmm. I want to know who I'm working with.
Correct.
And I read her book, and those first 3 chapters of your book, I cried. My heart broke. And I was like, I cannot believe this woman, this amazing woman, her spirit is always calm and serene and controlled. To have gone through so much trauma, and that's just the beginning of the story. That's just only up to chapter 3. I think there's like 10 or 12 chapters. Okay? And so thank you. Thank you for, accepting me into this world, right? And it's very interesting because Delacroix and I met years ago. We met years ago, and somehow we got connected, and I guess our visions just aligned in where we wanted to go with our platforms and how we wanted to impact women. And so my story began when I was a little girl as well. Now that it's interesting. The more work you do, the farther your story starts, right? Because before, my story started with my last marriage, but now it started with when I was a little girl. So, it started when I was young. I had an abusive dad. He was a womanizer, and his example of what a man should be was something that I've always had, right? And so I've grown up choosing the wrong men, looking for the absence of my father in men, which led to a lot of promiscuity, lack of self-worth, bad decisions, okay? So paired that with some neglect, rightfully so, from my mom, because she became a single mom who worked multiple jobs, and did the best that she could, of course, but it caused me to be over-parentified, right? Meaning that I became an adult quicker than I was supposed to. I had a lot of responsibilities as a young girl, and I never really got the chance to be a baby girl. I never got the chance to be loved and innocent. And so those things coupled introduced me to a life of, first it started out innocent, right? Because when my dad was around, he did idolize me, right? He always had me in front of the camera dressing me up. And so naturally I became a model at a young age, 16, 17. But that kind of evolved, right? Then it went to bikini modeling, right? Then it went to nudity, and then it grew to soft porn. And so, gradually things started to get worse. And I got married very young. I got married at 21 years old. And we were in a relationship for about 10 years. So most of my 20s was in a marriage that I was unprepared for, okay? So by the time I got to this marriage, I was already stripped of a lot, right? I really didn't know myself, and I didn't really have the tools to be in a relationship like this. And from that marriage, because I wasn't equipped at that time, I didn't have the support, because I've always been that independent, firstborn, responsible person. It led me to depression, being clinically depressed, right? Not really having the resources or the support to get help out of that. And so when I was at my worst in my marriage, I got my instruction. I was sitting on the floor in a separate bedroom because we weren't sleeping in the same bedroom. I begged him, please sleep with me. I can't sleep. I'm working 2 jobs, trying to take care of us and do this and do that, and you're not comforting me. He would purposely not sleep with me, causing me more mental anguish, right? And so I was in a separate bedroom on a air mattress, and on the floor crying, feeling like my soul was leaving my body. And that's when I got my instruction to leave the relationship. And I left. I packed up my bags. I packed up my PT Cruiser from Richmond, Virginia, and I drove all the way down to Atlanta, Georgia. And I started my life over again with nothing, because at this time I was clinically depressed. I had filed a Chapter 7 bankruptcy because I had so much debt from my marriage. Depressed, and I was going through a divorce. So I had nothing again, right? Stripped me even more. First, my soul and my emotions wasn't there, but then my mental, my financial, everything. And so by this time I was about 29 years old, and I had to restart my life over. So how do you do that? how do you pick up the pieces and, first of all, figure out who you are, figure out what you want. And like Delacour said, this world is full of distractions, right? It will swallow you up. Imagine being in a space for so long and then going out into the world where people and things are happening. I got swallowed up that first couple of years. I was confused. And so how do you realign yourself with who you really are supposed to be? And so I had to pick up the pieces and figure it out, right? I had to work on my mind. I had to work on my health, my body. How do I want to present myself? How am I going to show up in the world? Then I had to figure out how I can take care of myself to create the lifestyle that I wanted to live and the lifestyle that I deserve to live. And so I found multi-level marketing, where I learned a lot of social and business skills. And from that, I was able to invest in financial literacy, overcome my bankruptcy. I was also able to purchase my first home, and start a business. And so now I'm on the path to true financial freedom, okay? And so now I want to share with others how they can help to improve, transform, because like Delacour said, this is the season of blooming. And so we are gonna, share some tools and tips on how you can bloom in this season, so.
I want to go back to something she said because we had a moment the last time we taped, and it's funny because when you look at being divinely guided, divine connections, you have to understand how they work and how they move, right? You heard her when she said she was in a room, she was depressed, she got her instructions, and she drove from Richmond to Atlanta, right? It was at a time when she was depressed. So it was a time when I walked through depression that I got my instructions to move to Atlanta also. So while I was going through a season of depression, and it may have been in two different seasons, right? But God was saying, hey, I need you to move to Atlanta. And as she's going through her depression, God is saying, hey, I need you to move to Atlanta. Because I have somebody that I need you to connect with. Now, neither one of us knew that part of the story, right? We just found out that part of the story a couple weeks ago. But we met at an event that we were networking. And she arrived by herself, and I was with my massage therapist. And I don't know who said hello first, but we said hello. We ended up sitting at the table together talking. And I'm a person that's big on energy. So when the wrong energy arrives, I'm like, hold on, wait. And don't have no problem with saying, just wait. And I watched her. And I didn't know what it was. But God was saying to me to keep your eye on her, to follow her, to watch what she's doing. And we started meeting up just monthly, tea time.
Yeah.
Just sitting and talking. Just whatever the conversation was about was what the conversation was about. And God kept saying to me to nourish this relationship. So I made sure, be coming into what the world considers the new year, that we got together and we talked, because God said she's going into the next level with you. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that looked like. But I knew there was something. And then she made a live, and she was talking, and God said, that's it. Because there was a level of transparency and vulnerability, and I'm so proud of her, that she had to get to work in this space with me. Because I am very transparent. I am very vulnerable. And this can be intimidating to people at times, and I know it. But there was a level that she had to get to. And then when she hit that level, that's everything came full circle. So we're talking about divine connections, and I understand how God moves and shifts people. We're in two different places. I'm in Florida, she's in Virginia.
And even that direction.
Right. So you have to be spiritually aware of what's going on, how God is moving and shifting people. Because I always said, God, I need a team. I didn't know why I needed a team, child, but I just knew I needed one. Send the right people. And God will send those people when you are walking in your divine purpose, your divine assignment. Okay. So we're going to get into this conversation.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Okay.
It's a lot. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So as you guys know, Delacroix is an expert in anti-anxiety and bringing people to a place of solace and clear-mindedness, which is so needed in today's world. I mean, we are distracted from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed. It's like we don't even value ourselves enough to give ourselves the time and the love and attention that we need to succeed in this world. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about your expertise and how you are helping women through their overcoming their anxiety, what you've been through with anxiety, and how you can help us here today.
So what a lot of people don't know is when I was 15, 16 years old, I got placed on medication for anxiety. And I would have severe panic attacks in class. And no one knew that it was panic attacks. Everybody thought I was having an asthma attack. So they'll rush me off. And so one day the doctor said, no, this is something different. What are you doing when this happens? And so every time I got up, go figure, to speak in front of the classroom, I would go into these severe panic attacks. Shaking, breathing, can't get my words out. And so he said she has anxiety. He put me on medication. I later tried to overdose on that medication. Okay? And I was like, I'm not taking this medication anymore. So as a part of healing, I had to figure out what was the root cause of my anxiety. Because all of this is just symptoms, circumstances. But what is the root cause of my anxiety? So the world says everybody has anxiety. Everybody is supposed to be coping with anxiety. Delacroix says, oh, no, hell, you don't have to, because I've been through it. And in order for you to heal the triggers of your anxiety, you got to get down to the root cause of your anxiety, not symptoms. So what is the root cause of your anxiety? Mine was, I told y'all, at age 5, I was molested. When I told, I got beat by my mom. The power of my voice. And I just told y'all, every time I got ready to speak, I would go into this attack. So what happened at age 5? What did I allow to connect? What did I make a non-verbal agreement with at age 5? That non-verbal agreement carried me until my early 20s. So when you're looking at your anxiety, depression is a symptom of your anxiety. Low self-esteem is a symptom of your anxiety. What is under the soil? What was planted in the soil? What happened? That's affecting you right now today. That the world says, you got to cope with it. You got to deal. You take these pills, calm your mind. 50 million women are prescribed Xanax every year. That's it's a problem. So what are we going to do about it? If you want to bloom, you can't bloom carrying anxiety. You have to face, you have to get down deep with what caused your anxiety. So you got to identify it. If you can't identify it, you're going to have it. Anxiety is present every single day. Every time I get up, it says hello, and I say goodbye. I am not choosing you. There are situations in life happens. And I have been in a whirlwind of life, as we all have. And not one day did I choose anxiety. It's a choice when you understand what the root cause was. I'm walking in my power. I'm healed. I ain't finna choose you. If somebody put cocaine in front of you, you ain't never done cocaine before, or you know what cocaine does, are you going to choose it? It's just that simple. Get to the root cause and choose the better emotion. Get to the root cause. Get to the soil. So what happened in your life that is manifesting over and over and over and over for you to have anxiety? You need to ask yourself that. What happened? And you got to understand what anxiety looks like. Because anxiety can be very defensive. Somebody say something to you, and whoa, baby, you got an attitude because you have anxiety. You're afraid. Anxiety is fearful. It's stressful, but you got to know what is the root cause of it. Choose the better option. Avoidance. That's a form of anxiety because you don't want to deal with anything. Because you know what that feeling is going to bring. Isolation. So what is the root cause? What is in the soil that has grown over and over and over for you to now have a life of anxiety? And then you have to understand your friend circle, your parents. Do they have anxiety? Because some children, babies, have anxiety because their moms have anxiety. Their moms transfer that energy because they're always in a panic state. So now they have a toddler that's full of anxiety. So you got to think about what is the root cause of your anxiety in order for you to heal it, in order for you to change the behavior of it. So when we're moving forward in life, we're trying to embrace and we're trying to grow, we're trying to embrace our inner glow, we have to get rid of the baggage of the things that are holding us back. And the number one thing that keeps women from moving forward is anxiety, but it's showing up so differently in everybody's life. So how is it showing up in your life?
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
So let's say I have become aware of certain behaviors or reactions to certain situations. Because like I said, this woman keeps her cool. I'd be like, because of, she'd be like, well, let's just figure this out. And I'm like, So, once a woman becomes, or anyone becomes aware that they are reacting to things in their life, how do they work to find that root cause? Like, what does that work really look like for someone looking to change?
It's deep. It's deep and it's dark. That's the honest God truth. It's being raw, it's being transparent, it's being vulnerable. All right? And so that looks like you asking yourself some really, really deep questions. It's you revisiting certain places that you've suppressed. And a lot of times, I'm going to be honest with you, you don't have the mental capacity to do that because you don't even know what to ask yourself. So you need somebody that's going to make you deep. You need someone that is going to redirect you back to that point of entry. You need someone to help you unlock that space. Because most people are surviving through life, coping and surviving. I don't want that for any woman because I know what that looks like. It's not comfortable. It's not set in the present. And so you have to be willing to pull, like an onion, pull back the layers. And onions make us cry. Those layers are going to make you cry. Those layers are going to make you uncomfortable. those layers are going to make you want to run. You are not going to like yourself through these experiences. If you're being real with yourself, you're not going to like everything that you see. But do you want to stay there, or are you trying to bloom and grow into your next season? Because these are the things that are keeping you from achieving what you desire. So you have to make a decision to pull back the layers. In pulling back the layers, our mindset changes. Our perception changes. We think we know everything. That changes. There's a different version of yourself that's going to be birthed. And like I always say, every version is needed for you to become who you're supposed to be. But you've got to be willing to transition and shift with those different versions. You cannot remain the same. It is 2024. You can't.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, of course it did. I mean, you know, we can play ping pong all day. And that was so amazing and so powerful, and it's so beautiful that it complements the introduction to the transformation, right? Where do I start? You know, for me, I think that sitting still with yourself, first of all, and making that time, making that space. And sometimes it's hard for people to do. People make excuses about it, but your next level is halted, it's hindered because you don't make time for it. Like Delacroix said, everything around us is changing. You can look at anything around you. You can look outside, you can look at the building, you can look at the clothes, the fabrics. Everything evolves and everything changes. So we have to be comfortable with the idea of changing. It doesn't mean that we're not being ourselves. It just means that we're taking our experiences and transforming into an evolved version of ourselves. And I think that some people are uncomfortable with that because when they change, it requires other people to change around them. They might change their relationships. You know, it changes the way people look at them. It changes the way how people approach them. And if they do not deal with the anxiety, then they cannot, you know, they can't address those conflicts when they arrive, right? If they haven't practiced their communications and their boundary setting, right, and understand what their triggers are, they can't have that conflict to resolve the issue. And so making time is key. And that's something that, you know, it's so interesting, like you said, all of our levels, all of our versions lead us to where we are. You know, when I left my ex-husband and I moved to Atlanta, and I was fortunate enough to save up to have an apartment. I didn't have anything in my apartment, but I was the happiest. I was the most peaceful. I had my plants. Okay, I'm good. Okay, and so it made me spend a lot of time with myself. You know, outside of working, I was forced to spend a lot of time with myself. And I started reading, I started dancing. I just got up and I did whatever my soul wanted me to do so that I can feel myself again. I like the way that this feels, so I'm gonna do more of this. You know, I like the way that this smells or this looks, so I'm gonna incorporate more of this into my life. And so that time is very, very important for you to understand what you want as you transition and you bloom, right? So you have to work on your mindset. You have to give yourself that time. And then you always want to think about your health, right? Because once you have an understanding of who you want to be, then you have to manifest it. You have to create it. You have to be strong for it. You have to be clear-minded for it, right? Your mood has to be elevated for it. And so that requires a lifestyle change. It requires you saying no to some things and saying yes to more things, right? Because you have the vision now. You have the understanding of where you want to go. And it's so funny. I'm going to talk about us because it's the vision, right, that helped us manifest this. No matter the little nuances that come, no matter the challenges that we've had, it is our vision for what we want that pushes us forward. And so when you have the vision of this new evolved version of yourself, it helps you make decisions about where you go, what you do, you know, who you do it with, the way that you speak, the things that you consume your mind and your environment with. And it is going to be uncomfortable for some people, but for you, you should always remain strong and you should always remain enthusiastic about that, because change is always going to be weird. It's because, and I'm going to name it the paradigm shift, right?
Yes.
Because when you're making a change, it erupts something, right? Things start to move, you know, things start to change, and it feels uncomfortable because it's just foreign to us. But change is a part of growth, evolution, right? I love this fun fact that every 90 days, our bodily cells regenerate. So literally, we are different people every 90 days. And so for you to make the choice to remain the same because of your limited beliefs, or because of your culture, or what you were brought up on, it's just foolish. It's foolish, and it causes even more confusion when you know better and you don't do better. And I want to bring that to the present because I've been very transparent about my newest transformation. I love transforming my life. First of all, I think about what I like. A problem arises in my life. I think about the outcome that I want. I think about who I want to be on the other side of this obstacle, and then I make it happen, right? I start working on it and I start becoming this new person. So you are looking at a newly transformed person, okay? I am the feminine boss now, okay? And so even recently, maybe the last few months, I was having panic attacks, right? And I'm like, what is going on? Like, and it's uncontrollable sometimes. It's not uncontrollable. The devil was like, don't say it's uncontrollable. What is the root cause? It's not uncontrollable, but when you haven't identified what that root cause is, it's gonna be, it's gonna be a lot
It's
of
going to be
conflict.
uncontrollable until you find it out. Once you find it out, then you know.
Yes, and I know what I needed to do. I needed to make a decision, like you said, about some changes in my life. So I work corporate right now. And my plan was to only, because I told you guys I was recovering from financial debt and all that. And my goal was to buy a house. And I needed to get a job so that I could qualify correctly for a home. Now, I could have been an entrepreneur and that's the longer route because of all that, right? But but the most efficient way for me to be smart enough, right? Because I always put a strategy in play when I'm transforming my life. And so I had a strategy to work for 2 years. I will have consistent income, right? I can pay down my debts, I can take care of myself, but then I'm also building up that financial history and foundation to qualify for a home. So I'm killing multiple birds with one stone. And so I purchased my house last year. Amen. And so after that, things started to change at my job, and my roles and responsibilities started to change. And I found myself having panic attacks. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, I was fine. But I think God was telling me, your time is up. You're getting too comfortable. You are depending too much on this job now. You have other plans. You have other goals. What happened to your vision? What happened to the way that you wanted to impact women around the world? You can't do that being here. Okay? And honestly, since I've made that decision and I've started to work on my vision and my plans and my goals, it's like the weight has been lifted. It's like I can see, the rainbow, and everything is aligning and everything is working out for me. And it's because I identified what it was. I wasn't operating in my truth. I wasn't operating in my passion. I was becoming dependent on something that I shouldn't be dependent on. And so once I made the decision to transform again and move more into a space that aligns with my personal passions and my ability to impact women around the world, I just feel better. I feel better, and it's working out for me. And, you know, when you make those decisions, it's not easy, right? You don't just make a decision and it just happens. No, you have to go through things, but the decision is made. So, like I said earlier, those obstacles don't matter because you'll easily be creative to overcome those obstacles because the bigger picture is right there. And so you figure out how to deal with things that arises. So, yeah, yeah.
I am so. I'll be laughing at myself.
I do too, girl.
I really do. I'm one of the. I'm a little crazy. Just be honest. I am one of these people that if God gives me a vision, if God says something, I don't need the full plan. I don't need all the details. I'm just gonna start moving. And what I have learned through my process, that if I just start moving and trusting and believing and having my total confidence in the plan that God has given me, everything that I need along the way is going to be provided. Those answers are going to come. And we can get complacent, especially if you are a woman that needs to know everything. You can become very complacent, and that can cause anxiety alone because you need to know all the answers. But that's no faith. That's not being spiritual at all. Because do you know that God will bring the answer through an animal? A bird? Anything. But if you are not spiritually open enough to receive, you will miss the message. You will miss the message. It ain't always going to come out of the mouth of a human being. And I know this all too well. This is a part of my daily life. Because we have to get in a place when we are waking. Okay, we got two different people. That's a couple different people that's operating in this world, right? Whole bunch of them. But we got these awake folks, right? But then we have the awakened folks, right? Two different people. We move in two different spaces, two different directions, two different operations. And so the awake folks, they're still limited in their beliefs. They're still battling between religion and spirituality. They're still bringing chaos to a peaceful place. You have the awakened folks that have been rebirthed spiritually. So when they are rebirthed spiritually, they understand that the answer can come through a bird because God is in everything and moving and flowing in every single thing at all times. How are you omnipresent? It don't take a rocket science to figure that out, but it made for some. Because the Spirit of God is in every single thing on this earth, on this planet. And we can be closed off because of not wanting to question the things that we've been taught. There's an example that I've said on numerous occasions in coaching classes. It's a story. Now, it's corny, but it is what it is. You have a grandmother, right, who is baking a chicken, but she cuts the legs off the chicken to put it in the pan. Now, her daughter is watching her do this. So she gets grown. She does the same thing. She cuts the legs to put the chicken in the pan. Now, here you got the granddaughter that's getting ready to cook the chicken. And she calls her mom and says, Mom, why do you cut the chickens off, the leg off the chicken? She said, I don't know. I saw grandmama do it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
She calls Grandma, why do you cut the legs off the chicken? She said, because the chicken was too big to fit in the pan. So was it necessary to cut off the legs? Mm-hmm. So you've been taught by way of vision on how things is being done, but you're not questioning anything. You're just following the pattern. So what patterns are you following that don't serve you? That ain't got nothing to do with who you are and where you're going and what God has predestined for your life. So what generational curse, what generational pattern are you following today that has nothing to do with who you are spiritually, your plan, your direction that God has for your life? Big Mama did it this way, so I'm going to do it this way. Well, Big Mama put lard in her collard greens. And fat back. And now everybody got high blood pressure, hypertension, and
Exactly.
but you're still doing that and wondering why you're sick. What Big Mama said. Well, can we question some of the things that Big Mama said to break the curses, to change the narrative and the trajectory of our lives? Big Mama can cause y'all a lot of anxiety. Let's just be real. Because you're not questioning anything. You're just going with the plan. That's not the plan that God has for you. So now you don't want to switch. You don't want to change. Something on the inside of you is saying, go over there, move over there, do that. But the generation of women that have come before me have done it this way. And now you feel with anxiety because you don't want to go against the grain. Does that make sense? So we're talking about how can you identify your anxiety?
Yeah.
How can you look within to figure out what it is, and how can you kill it at the root so that you can bloom, so that you can embrace your growth? Everything is not going to be comfortable. There's discomfort every day of my life. I wake up, it's, hey, Doug, how you doing? What we doing today, girl? I'm getting in the car with you. We're going to ride around the city. Okay, I'm blowing with you. It is everywhere. And I'm like, no, ma'am, you ain't coming with me. Frustration is an experience in the moment. Why do you allow it to be a part of your entire day? It's an occurrence that's happening here at 5 a.m. Why is it still happening at 5 p.m.? Because you made a decision. Come on, girl. You going with me today. I don't let you rattle me right on up. It's a choice. It's simple, guys. This stuff is not rocket science. But you got to be conscious. You got to be aware. You got to be present here and now to understand what's happening. If you're not present here and now, if you're operating in past experiences, baby, if I was still operating as a 5-year-old girl, I would not be sitting here today. If I was still operating as that 15-year-old girl, I would not be sitting here today. As a 21-year-old, a 23-year-old, I would not be here today. If I was still being controlled and ruled by that mindset, by that behavior. You have to learn to want to grow past your experiences and understand that when things are happening, it is an experience. That's it. And you have the power to choose a different experience. You have the power to change whatever is coming your way. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. It takes years sometimes to see that change. But when you're becoming more spiritually aware, there are things that's going to guide you and let you know that change is working for you and not against you.
And I want to add to that because I wanted to share some of my experience on how I was able to recognize my conditioning, right? Because, knowledge is amazing and not enough of us really take the time to do the research on ourselves. And so I got really deep into understanding myself, psychology, how I think. And I had to, I actually started going to therapy. So therapy was one of the ways that helped me to identify some of my past traumas and my past issues. But also understanding that when we are all born, we are born with a clean slate, right? We have no experiences, we have no trauma, we don't know anything. But it is the environment that we grow up in. It's our parents, it's our family, it's our schools, it's our communities. Those are the things that really shape who we are as people. And so when we become conscious enough to recognize the things that we want and the things that we don't want, it is within our own personal power to actually start to change those things. So along with therapy, I also have recently started to do shadow work. And I've always heard of shadow work, but I never did it. I never really understood it. And when I experienced it, I was like, oh my God. I was able to go back in time and see things that I didn't remember from when I was a child. I was able to put myself today in my childlike body and understand the experiences that I was having, how hurt I was, how afraid I was, how much in survival I was, not only of my safety sometimes. My dad was a little, he would be on alcohol, he'd be abusive, things like that. So not only that safety, but just the safety of my well-being. How am I going to take care of myself today? My mom is a single mom. I always felt like I had to find ways to take care of myself. As soon as I was able to work at 12, 13 years old, I started working. And so I've always seen my mom work 2 jobs, so I always had 2 jobs. So, that type of mentality had stuck with me all the way through. While I was going to college, I had 2 jobs. While I was married, I had 2 jobs. Still in survival mode. No wonder I'm having panic attacks today at work, is because I am still living in scarcity. I feel like I need this job to get me to my next level, and I don't. And so this shift, it's just been an amazing transformation. And these are some of the ways that we can identify our triggers and our traumas. Spending time with ourselves, asking ourselves those hard questions. Sometimes we don't want to discuss things, not even with ourselves, about our parents, about our upbringing. We have to be okay with that because everyone goes through life experiences, and we cannot be afraid of our own thoughts. We have to be stronger than that. Identifying those things and being courageous enough to change them.
One of the things, I have a problem with excitement. Yeah, I'm just like, well, right. I'll be what I see. Right. But I had to realize where that came from. And you know where it came from? You know how we mom get us all dressed up, we're waiting for our dad to come pick us up. Because dad said he's gonna come. And he never shows up. Mm-hmm. Repeatedly. You're excited. Dad, come and pick me up because I like my dad better than I like you. Not really, but that's what the other parent think because you're so excited to see your dad. And so get dressed up or not, but waiting on my dad to arrive, and he never came. And he didn't show up because he was on drugs, because he was on alcohol. Life was rife for him. And so it wasn't until I moved here and I had done Reiki and I was driving. I believe exactly where I was at because I can see it right now. You know where the spaghetti, I think they call it spaghetti junction at? I was right there. And I was like, God, because I think I had just had a phone call with somebody. I was like, what is wrong with me? I don't get excited about anything. I was like, where does this come from? And God took me back to be waiting on my dad. And I was like, okay, I don't like this. Because there are some exciting things that are happening. And I'm just like, okay, I'll believe when I see it. People give me information. I'm like, all right, believe when I see it. Show me. I'm from Missouri by way of Florida. Show me. Show me. And had to start changing that. And I had to start changing that with myself by celebrating myself with little small things that was happening in my life. I had to build up the excitement within myself for things that I was doing and accomplishing because nobody else in my family was doing these things and accomplishing these things. So I had to build up that excitement within myself. So it no longer became, I'll believe it when I see it. It's, this is what it is, this is what I believe, and I'm excited about it happening. Breaking that dysfunction, that thing that was normal for me. But was it really normal in a healthy way? And so I had to learn what was the root cause of it. And I had to go back and change it within myself. Because everything that we need is inside of ourselves. We have to stop looking outside. We have to stop looking at people. Everything that you need is within yourself. You are in control of everything that has to do with you. If it is not manifesting, it's because you're not believing it. It's because you can't even see it. You can't visualize it. There are mental blockages. How are you identifying your mental blockages if you want to bloom? Where does those mental blockages come from? Where were they planted? Who spoke something into your life that caused disbelief? Who? And what are you willing to do to change it? It's the process. Period. It is. It's not simple. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's simple. No, it's hard as hell. It is. But it's something that I choose to get up and do every single day because it works. It benefits me. It allows me to be comfortable and confident and calm in my being. She's right. Every time she called me with something, okay, well, it's a redirection. This is what we're doing. You would think I'll be over there on La La Land. Meanwhile, there's a fire right here, a fire right here, a fire right here, and a fire right here happening in my life. And if we want to get biblical, I'm like, what's them bad Negroes' name? I'm like them, in the fire and not getting burned. It's happening all around me, but I'm not choosing to get burned.
Yes, I love that. And I'm just going to say one quick thing before we tell the people what we have planned for this series. You know, for a long time, I never identified that it was my childhood that, you know, caused me pain and caused me trauma. You know, I always thought it was the most recent thing that happened to me that was the most traumatic because really, I pushed a lot of those thoughts and emotions out of my head. Like I just pushed it out so that I don't have to deal with those type of emotions anymore. And so when I started doing the work, I realized, I'm like, wow, these people were right. All this time, everyone's saying that it's always coming from your childhood because that is where, you know, that is where you get that, you just said something, yes, where that seed was planted. And it was growing and growing and growing and compounding within me. And so, yeah, I had to go all the way back. So I would definitely encourage anyone who is looking to evolve into something new, something different, something greater to start at your childhood.
You have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to embrace your growth, if you want to see your inner radiance glow and speak for you, you have to deal with, I don't care how great your parents are. My mom now is the most supportive parent ever. I could tell I'm finna jump off the top of this building in Atlanta. She's like, baby, I'll be down here waiting on you to land on your feet. Mm-hmm. It didn't start that way, you know. And let me say this, as a parent, right? You don't always respond correctly, right? One of the things when I went back and had a conversation with my mom, after I went through my healing process, there was one question that I needed the answer to. And I didn't realize I needed the answer. It was an ex-boyfriend that said to me, maybe you need to ask your mom this. And I was like, asked my mom at age 5, when I told you that I was being molested by my cousin, why did you beat me? You know what she said? Sometimes as a parent, you don't always know how to respond. You don't respond correctly. As a parent, at that particular time, I understood it and still understand it today. Sometimes our parents don't have the resources within themselves to give us what we think we need. And so, when they don't, are you willing to look deeper within yourself and give yourself what you need? What do you need now? What do you need here in this present moment? Are you willing? Because you may have a parent that isn't verbal in her communication or in his communication, isn't willing to acknowledge their wrongs. Can you be okay with that? Can you set yourself free from that? Because that could be the one thing that's causing you your anxiety.
Yes.
That one thing, simple, but we just have to be willing to identify it so that we can change it. So, when we're looking and we want to go back to childhood, because like it or not, that's where it all, in the beginning,
Yeah.
that's where it all started.
Yes.
That's where it starts. So what happened that is hindering you from becoming the woman that you desire to be, to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish? Why are you attracting things to you that don't serve you? Is it because you haven't said no to those things? You keep the door open to allow those things to come to you. But you got to raise up a standard, a boundary. Drug dealers don't approach me no more. Hello? They don't. Because I raised up a standard. Ain't got to say it. They see it.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, listen, what we have set out to do here is really help women transform their lives. And we want to get to an opportunity where we can really have women identify in real life exactly what blockages they have so that we can help them overcome and leave our experiences with a newfound understanding and perspective of their life so that they can be great and, again, go impact other women. And so we want to take this experience as far as we can take it. And so we have a very special event coming up this year, this summer. You want to tell the people about it?
Tell me.
So we understand that, number one, environment is everything. Whenever it was time for me to make a change in my life, I changed my environment. I got rid of the distractions so that I can really focus on me in the most relaxed space where I can receive the most. And so we are planning a August retreat in the sunny island, not an island, but the sunny country of Mexico, right? Tulum, Mexico, August the 2nd, the weekend of August the 2nd. We are having an EnRicHer Experience where we are inviting just about 10 women, again, because we love our intimate spaces. We want to talk to you. We want to identify your problems and your challenges so that we can help you overcome them. And we're going to be offering workshops. We're going to have a chef in-house. You know, it's really going to be a place where women can let go of their titles, let go of their responsibilities.
Please and thank you.
We don't care. We don't care about your career. We don't care about your role in the family. We don't care. We care about you. We want you to care about you. So we want you fully immersed. So we are stealing you and taking you to Tulum, Mexico to do that. So we're excited about that.
So, of course, it's gonna be, we're gonna do some self-renewal activities, some sound baths, some spiritual things, just for you to become in tune with yourself. Cause I can say it, but until you have that experience, it's just words to you. You got to connect. You got to have an experience for yourself to enrich yourself. When you see, and again, I like to say this because that women empowerment stuff is so outdated and it's a lot of manipulation attached to it. We're enriching you guys. We're giving you what you need so that you can empower yourself. I can empower you. I can tell you, but just like they say, you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make him drink it. The horse becomes empowered when he bends his head to drink the water to get
to it again.
right. So it's the same thing.
Yes.
In order for you to become empowered, we're going to give you the tools. What you do with those tools will determine your next level.
Yes.
Okay. So I just kind of want to ask a couple people, what are you thinking right now? What's going through your head? I see a lot of you guys, your wheels are spinning, and some of you are in kind of like a summer mode. But what is going through your head right now? How are you feeling? Is it making you question yourself? Is it making you think about some of your experiences, some of the things that you've encountered? Is it making you? So whoever wants to just share a little bit, you got to go in detail, but just whatever you feel, even if you have a question, you need a little bit more clarity that you want to express. By all means, go ahead. Yes.
I just want to say some of the things. Well, first I want to say I think it was kind of like how y'all met down here. So I called my mom and was like, "Can I just come, spend some time with you and my son?" So I really wasn't supposed to be here. So I think this is a divine thing as well. So I appreciate that. And then and even when I called her, she never told me that this was happening.
Wow.
So,
Yes.
but some of the things that you guys said about your past kind of it hit me, and it kind of makes me think about some of the things in my past, and I share some of the same experience with both of you guys, and it just makes me kind of think that I need to really take this and maybe do some writing. Some years back, somebody told me to write a book and release it. And if I release it, they told me it will be published. I started it, but somebody stole it, so I got to restart it. But I think this is very helpful. So I'm ready to kind of take it and figure, as I write, try to go back and write from, like you said, the beginning, just trying to figure out where my anxiety comes from. And then just hopefully I could help, like y'all said, help other people to empower women. And one more thing, with me helping other people to empower women, I want to say about maybe 16 years ago, someone also said that I would be helping to empower women in this world. So I'm excited.
So let me tell you about that. So my book was a prophecy. I was at Essence Festival standing in front of, on Canal Street in front of the Marriott. It was a guy that my cousin was dating. And he was like, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" I said, "No, because you got on my last nerve. And I don't want to interact with you no more this weekend." He said, "No, I need to say something to you." And he said, "You're supposed to write a book. I watch you and how women and people just gravitate towards you. You're supposed to write a book." That was 2007. I called him, made everything but the child of God, and told him I was not going to write a book. Never had a thought again. I moved here in 2015, January 24, 2015. In October, I heard the words, "Through the pain, I rise." It hit me. I didn't know what it meant, but I saved it. 2 weeks before my 40th birthday, God said, "Now it's time for you to tell your story." What story? Your story. I said, "Oh, I can put that all over social media." I told you, right? God said, "No, you're to tell your story and not leave anything out. Because there were things I left out on social media, like the rape, no, the abortion. There are a couple things that I left out. I started my healing process in my early 20s. I didn't write my book as a form of healing. I had already went through my healing process. So writing my book was fun. I was able to channel the different voices of my life. The 5-year-old girl, you can hear her. And you see when she transformed and then transformed again. That's when I wrote it, but it was an assignment. But the same thing, write a book because you have lives to impact. Write your book because you have lives to impact. There's no time frame on it. God will tell you when it's time. And when you hear that it's time, you do it. You don't worry about it. And when you write your book, no matter how personal, sensitive it is, you're gonna have to develop tough skin. Because if you say your story resembles some of mine, you need tough skin. Because you got to stand in that boldness, you got to stand in that encouragement, and you can't take ownership of the people that are tied to your story. Because they're coming, and they ain't gonna like it. They rose up against me too. But God said, this ain't about them. It's about the people that you have to impact. And so that's been my mentality ever since. So you're gonna have to develop another level of confidence and boldness and ownership of who you are. Period.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Anybody else?
sharing.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to say I am so excited. I'm just excited for, just all the women in this room and just you. And I don't even know you, but I just feel your energy. So me and Delacroix actually met similar to an event that we didn't know, we knew the mutual person. But it's amazing how just the conversation, the conversation that you were talking about as far as in the animal. Mine is a peacock.
Okay.
Just a conversation of, the approaches that you receive. Now, the drug dealers don't come up to you anymore. Like, it's just so much things that I just can relate to. So I'm excited. This is a beautiful journey.
Good. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes. Yes.
I mean, you guys were talking about, our story starts with our childhood. I believe that because I'm still dealing with a lot of things in my relationship and, relationship with my mother. I know when my last 2 years of high school was rough. Like, I went through a lot. I was molested at 16, had to go to court twice. And I was sitting here talking to God. I was like, Lord, please, I want to get out of here. I want to go far, far away. So I signed up for the Air Force. And when I got into the Air Force, we have to do a dream sheet. And we get to pick wherever we want to go. I'm just picking bases close to home, like in Ohio, or just all the bases close to home. After I told God, like, just get me far away. I just didn't want to be in Detroit. Guess where my first duty station was? Turkey. So I was scared, so I'm like, man, black people gonna be in Turkey. Like, what am I doing in Turkey? And I got to Turkey, and I'm just like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, God knew that I needed to get far away, get to know who I am as a person and, travel the world. And from then on, like, that's all I wanted to do. Like, I know I needed to spread my wings and just get away from that environment because I knew if I would have stayed in Detroit, I don't think I'd be here right now talking to you guys. So,
Amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
My question's for you. What's your name again? I'm sorry.
Sinclair.
Sinclair. Ms. Sinclair, can you go more in detail? I mean, I've been working on shadow work, but just explain to the ladies what shadow work is and how it's effective in your life.
Yeah, sure. And I'm still a novice at it, but I looked it up. I looked up how to perform shadow work, and so it's kind of like a form of meditation. But you want to be very specific in seeing yourself as a child, as your youngest self as a child, and try to recall instances and put yourself in place of the child so that you can experience what you were experiencing then, so that you can understand how you felt, so that you can understand the things that you saw and how they affected you, so that in your adult years you know how to deal with it. And so for me personally, I saw myself as two young versions of myself. I saw myself as a toddler, like an innocent, cute little toddler, just come on, like come with me, you know. And so I went. And then I saw myself as an adolescent, maybe about 10, 11 years old. But from the adolescent part of me, I was witnessing my dad abusing my mom. I was witnessing being at home alone a lot and watching my brothers and feeling lonely. Like I felt it as I was doing my meditation. I felt some of the fear, like I felt some of the uncertainty, and I identified where that plays a role in my life today. And so that's how it's helped me.
That's adverse childhood trauma. When you don't experience it yourself, but you witness it being done to other people. And that can affect you just as it happened directly to you. And people don't realize that. When people say, I have a trauma in my life, just because it didn't physically happen to you doesn't mean that you didn't see it and that caused a traumatic experience within yourself. So you have to be aware of that. A lot of things we see play a role in how we move today and how we interact with different things. When you look at procrastination, what is the root cause of procrastination? Understanding that you have a problem with time, commitment, but maybe you witnessed something as a child. Your father cheating on your mom, you with your mom, you catch your father. There you go, one entry right there. And you wonder why you're procrastinating. So it's deep, but it ain't that deep. Honestly, it's not that deep. You really just have to be willing to connect the dots. You really have to be able to connect the dots. You want to share something? Pretty good.
Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Thank you for sharing what you shared. I'm always a student. I'm just listening and absorbing.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here today, and we are so excited to, expand our experiences, and hopefully we will have some people from this room join us in Tulum this August. We actually have a special discount for anyone who joins the first few people, 3 people, maybe 3 or 4 people. We are giving you guys a discount on your registration. So from $500, your registration fee will just be $350 to hold your spot for an all-inclusive stay in Tulum, Mexico. We're going to do 3 days and 2 nights in a Tulum estate. Chef will be preparing all of our meals. We'll have dedicated workshops for you ladies to help transform and give you the tools that you need to come back rejuvenated, refreshed, and confident about your goals. So reach out to us. We have a link that we're going to be sharing. And again, the first 3 people get a heavily discounted register cost. And then we hope to see you in Tulum with us.
Yes, that is it. This concludes our
Yeah.
first live experience for the EnRicHer.
Yes.
We hope you guys were enriched. So we're excited about what's happening and what's new to come with us. There are going to be more. Sinclair is working on a book.
I am working on it. Yes, so stay tuned for that.
Yes.
Should I give the title?
If you want to.
You tell me, because I don't know. You like, don't release, don't do
No,
that.
don't. I mean, because you may
I
change
take
it.
your word
Yeah,
because
you may
you
change
your
it.
experience. Okay, but I do have a book coming out soon, and hopefully it may be ready by the EnRicHer in Tulum. So thank you guys so much. So my name is Miss Sinclair. I am the Feminine Boss, your lifestyle transformational coach.
And I am Delqua Isom, your anti-anxiety expert.
See you guys next time.
See you guys next time.